Grateful for the many messages of sympathy from all over the world, from British people, from South Africans. And this case is not about Shrien and the three accused. It's about my beautiful daughter, Anni, not forgetting her. And I'm sure she'll be very, very happy today to hear what we got for the decision. As a father, I demand justice against whoever involved in this. And I wish I get that justice. I wish Shrien a very speedy recovery from his illness so that he can now go to Cape Town and help the police and clear his name, as he says.
Anni Hinduja was a 28-year-old Swedish woman from a loving family. She was described as smart, confident, and a natural leader. She worked in marketing and was ready to settle down and start a family. She was set up on a date with Shrien Dewani, a 30-year-old millionaire from UK. After a few dates, they hit it off and started a long-distance relationship. They had some arguments, but they worked through them. Anni eventually moved to the UK to be closer to him. So both families approved of the marriage. Shrien even told Anni's father that he didn't believe in sex before marriage, which her family saw as a sign of his respect for her and for his religion. In October 2010, they had a huge, expensive 3-day wedding in India. It looked like a fairy tale, though some of Anni's friends later said she seemed distant and not quite herself. 3 weeks after the wedding, Shrien surprised Anni with a honeymoon to South Africa. He had planned the whole trip. When they landed in Cape Town, Shrien hired a random taxi driver named Zola Tongo instead of using the hotel's official car. So the next night, Tongo drove them to a restaurant. On the way, they changed their minds and asked to go somewhere else. After dinner, they asked Tongo to drive them through a nearby township called Guguleto. This was a very dangerous area, especially at night, with high crime rate. While driving through this township, their taxi was hijacked by 2 armed men. The men forced Tongo out of the car, then close to Tongo and other accused men. The CCTV footage showed Shrien and Tongo having private conversation at the hotel after the murder. The other hijackers, Kwabe and Minge, also pointed the finger at Shrien, saying Tongo had hired them for a hit. So they left everyone with a big question. Why would Shrien want to do this to his wife? Why would he want to get her killed? The police and the media began to speculate about Shrien's sexuality.
Dewani as a liar. Tongo concluded his testimony against the British businessman in the Western Cape High Court today.
He spent 7 days on the witness stand, 5 of them under grueling cross-examination.
Shrien Dewani's version of events leading to the November 2010 murder of his wife Anni has been described as nonsense and lies. Tongo is the man who fingered him as the mastermind behind his wife's murder. Defence counsel Francois van Zyl today continued his barrage of questions. Tongo remained adamant that Dewani offered 15,000 rand to have his wife killed. The British businessman has denied all charges against him, including murder. Tongo also described as a lie the defence's assertion that a fellow prisoner would testify that Tongo told him he was advised to frame Dewani for the murder. Tongo's version in court and what he had told police in his affidavit in November 2010 also came under fire from the defense.
A male prostitute came forward saying Shrien had told him he was gay and needed to get out of the relationship. So the prosecution argued that Shrien had entered a sham marriage to hide his true identity from his traditional family and that he wanted out. Anni's family, who had initially supported Shrien, began to have doubts. They noticed his story about that night kept changing. They also found some of his behavior after Anni's death to be strange and disrespectful. The South African authorities wanted to put Shrien on trial, but he fought extradition from the UK for years, saying he was too mentally unwell, suffering from PTSD and depression, and wouldn't get a fair trial in South Africa. See, Anni's family was frustrated, saying if he was innocent, he should have nothing to fear.
Apart from, that is, Anni, all have questions to answer now. 3 of them have been found guilty by the South African courts. They now want Shrien Dewani to turn up. He is, of course, fighting a legal battle against being extradited from Britain to South Africa. His psychiatrists say he's too ill to stand trial at the moment. He says he's suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome and depression following the death of his new bride. And also he feels he won't get a fair trial here in South Africa. But Anni Dewani's family are absolutely insistent he will get a fair trial. They say they just want to hear the truth, and they've urged Shrien Dewani to give up the fight and to allow himself to be extradited, to face trial and answer some questions here in South Africa.
The extradition hearing of Shrien Dewani, wanted in South Africa for questioning about the murder of his wife, has heard claims and counterclaims over how he'll be treated in prison if he is returned there.
I had a family once upon a time, 6 months ago, which was different than what I have today. Why?
For the past 3 days, the Hindocha family, who've travelled from Sweden, have sat through an extradition hearing at Woolwich Crown Court. The South African authorities want Shrien Dewani, Anni's new husband, to stand trial over the alleged contract killing of his bride in a Cape Town township last November.
Much of the extradition hearing is centred on whether South African jails are dangerous, brutal places, on whether Shrien Dewani would survive if he was sent there.
And as far as the Hindocha family is concerned, this hearing should not be happening at all.
If he says he's not involved in anything, he should proudly go to South Africa, say, I didn't do it, here I am, give me a trial.
After a long battle, Shrien was finally extradited to South Africa to stand trial for murder. However, the trial was a disaster for the prosecution and for the witnesses. Their main witness, Tongo Kwabe, and the another man involved were all convicted criminals. Under cross-examination, their stories fell apart. They contradicted themselves and each other and were caught in many lies. So the judge ruled that their evidence was too unreliable to be trusted.
In terms of Section 174 of the Criminal Procedure Act is granted. The accused is found not guilty on this charge, and Mr. Mlombo is not granted indemnity from prosecution. Court will adjourn.
She said the prosecution had failed to prove its case without any solid physical evidence directly linking Shrien to the plot. The judge threw out the case and found Shrien Dewani not guilty, and he was free to go.
If he's not guilty, then good luck to him. He should be coming home. He should be allowed to come home. But if he has in any way in his mind, I was complicit in this, then he should stay there.
What sort of welcome back will he get?
I don't know, really. I shouldn't think it's going to be a great one because, you know, it carries a lot of feeling, and this was a very, very, very sad and very tragic case. Very sad.
Well, it's going to be very tough for Annie's family, but he's been found innocent, so, you know, you have to go by what the law states, and I believe that, you know, if he's coming home, it's the right and proper thing.
See, Annie's family was heartbroken and felt the justice system had failed them. They believe the full truth never came out. One theory is Shrien Dewani planned the whole thing and got away with murder. Another theory is that it was a random hijacking that went wrong, and Tongo made up the story about Shrien to get a lighter sentence. And the third theory is that Tongo himself planned to kidnap Annie for ransom, and when he saw the wealthy couple and the things spiraled out, they shot her.
Now, in breaking news, convicted Honeymoon murderer Kolile Mngeni has died. Mngeni is the only South African to go on trial for the murder of Annie Dewani in Gugulethu in 2010. He was 27 years old. During his trial the following year, the court heard that he had a life expectancy of only 5 years. Correctional Services officials said there was nothing more doctors could do for him.
So the man directly involved in the shooting are in prison now. One has since died. Zola Tongo was denied parole. So to this day, no one knows for sure what truly happened that night. It remains a tragic and unsolved mystery, and Annie's family is still searching for answers. I hope you enjoyed this story, and our prayers go out to Annie's family.